Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today I'm in Seabright, New Jersey, and I'll be installing wiring for a car charger. I'll be running close to 100 feet of 3/4 inch PVC from this meter main at the back corner of the house to where the receptacle needs to be at the front corner of the other corner of the house. And we're going to be installing number 6 THHN, and we'll be installing a 50 amp 2-pole GFCI square D home line breaker. And first thing we need to do is get from this outside meter main where there's 8 circuit breakers. It's the only place we can get power for this particular job because the sub panel upstairs is already full, or rather it's got one space. Obviously I need a 2-pole space. So we're going to come out of the meter main here. We need to go through the vinyl siding and then through the concrete masonry units, aka cinder blocks, before we get inside and start running our conduit along the wall and ceiling, and then through the garage, and then finally down to the NEMA 1450 receptacle. Thanks for coming back, and if you haven't already liked this video, please do that. Hit the subscribe button and notification bell, and thanks for being here, and let's get to it. The first thing I want to do here is I want to establish the beginning of my conduit run. So I'm reaching for a 3/4 inch PVC LB, and I'm going to mark that vinyl siding where I want to make my hole so that the LB will fit through that hole. And then once the vinyl is cut, I'll come back with my SDS Max drill, and that drill bit you see there on the left, and I'll drill a hole through the concrete masonry unit. It's actually a little bit of poured concrete on the outside, and then we go through these what we call a concrete masonry unit. They used to be called cinder blocks, until I come out on the other side. And then once I come out on the other side, I'll put a pulling box, and the only reason why I use the pull box is because I ran out of LBs here at the beginning of my day, and I had to run out and get material. But I wanted to get started, so obviously I get this first LB, I come into a box, and then you'll see on the other side, we'll go up and over and across the ceiling to the front of the house, and I'll take you through that whole process. So this is an SDS Max drill with a drill bit that's large enough to sleeve 3/4 inch PVC through the hole. It's actually a little bit larger than a PVC because sometimes the fittings or the couplings or the connectors need to sit in there as well to attach the conduit fittings. What I like to do is let the tool do the work for you. All right, it's a powerful drill. It's a relatively new bit, and so just when you're drilling, the drill itself will do the work for you. One of the things I like to do when I'm drilling that hole is I like to have a slight upward angle, so if water were ever to get through this hole, which of course it won't, I'll come back with silicone and make sure that's watertight, it won't go inside the house, just to let gravity do the trick and prevent the water from getting inside the house. So here's the LB. It's going to fit in there, and I cut a piece just big enough that I'll get through to the other side. Then when I get to the other side, we'll cut it off, we'll size it up, and put a box on the other side so we could pull our conductors from that box for the rest of the run. I'll show you once we get inside. All of the PVC bending that you'll see in this video was done right here. I didn't have the camera here every time, but just know that the box was set up right here, and that all the bends were made right here and then brought on location. now that the conduit's warm, I can put it into place. I have an idea of the bends that I want to make prior to finalizing the bends. I just want to come up here and make a 90, obviously where the wall meets the ceiling. And then I've turned that 90 in a direction so that my next bend is a little less than a 90. This makes it easier to make the pull with the wires going through the conduit later on. Not a huge deal, but a small detail. I usually mark where I'm going to cut with a pencil, but here I just use my thumb. I use my PVC shears, and I made sure everything was in place just the way I wanted it before I put glue on the PVC and stuck it into the male adapter. Once it's in the male adapter, if it's not just right, you're going to have to cut that out and put a coupling in, and then sometimes your work doesn't look as professional as it could. Not that I haven't done that before, but I try to get it right the first time. As you can see, I got the laser level out. I got my Milwaukee light. You guys know how much Milwaukee tools I have. I love it. I'm using an SDS Plus with a 3/16 SDS Plus bit, and I'm driving, I think, 1.25 Tapcon screws with a 5/16 drive. Bending this PVC is pretty easy. I mostly use 3/4 inch PVC for most of my jobs. And so with the 3/4 inch PVC, there's plenty of room for larger conductors, multiple conductors. So that's my preferred choice of PVC. But the bender that I use is good for up to 2 inch. Although bending 2 inch is a lot more difficult than bending that 3/4 inch, and that's for sure. I got a service coming up this week where I have to bend some 2 inch PVC. And it's a challenge, so I'll be making a video for that too. So anyway, so here I just pick up 100 feet of 3/4 inch PVC and I lay it in the spot here. And then obviously I got my Milwaukee laser level set up so I can do a nice straight line. I really don't need to be too straight right here. That gas pipe that's there, I really just need to be parallel to that so it looks nice. But I set up the laser level because I'm still getting used to it. I've only recently, in the last year or two, started using it. So and this is a new Milwaukee model. I used to use the Klein tools, but that had the old red laser. This one has a green laser, and I'm told that you can see it better. I really like using it so far, and I plan on using it more in future videos as well. So the run that I'm working on right there, I was able to attach straps approximately 3 feet apart from each other on the ceiling joist going across. But now, once I make that 90-degree bend behind me there, that run right there where the bend is in the conduit, the strap reaches one of the joists, but the other, the 2-hole strap, the other hole in the 2-hole strap, I have to drive in plastic anchors, those easy anchors, the white ones that you screw into the sheetrock and then attach the strap to it. I like it, but this, I wish I'd planned this a little better. But I guess I probably wasn't going to get both holes in the strap into the one joist, so maybe I could have. Anyway, what's done is done. So it took me a little bit longer than I thought. But once I get to this section right here, I'm going to come to a wall, and on the other side of that wall is the garage. And the ceiling in the garage is a little bit taller than the ceiling in this room here. And you'll see when I go to drill the hole to get into the garage, I just assumed that there was framing there to attach the sheetrock, and there was none. So where the wall met the ceiling on the sheetrock, normally what the framers will do, or the sheetrock guys will do, or I guess the framers would do this, is they would set up a nailer to nail that sheetrock to, but there was none. So I'm using my stud finder there. It's just not there. So I drilled straight through, and so now my conduit was attached right to the ceiling, and went right through to the other side. Unfortunately, on the other side, it comes through right where one of the rails is for the garage door opener, which kind of prevents access to that LB. But we made the best of it, and I'm hoping that the inspector will be okay with it. And yes, even I make mistakes. Obviously, I got 2 couplings right there, so I did make a mistake when I cut it the first time, and it was a little too short, I think, or maybe too long. I forget what the case was, but I had to do it again. And of course, with the magic of editing, you didn't get to see any of that. But I'm telling you that I'm human and I do make mistakes. So here you see that LB is right behind that rail. Not really too much I could do with that unless I came down the wall and then went back up, which I thought was kind of counterproductive. I'm hoping that the inspector's not going to give me a hard time there, but we'll see. So then from there, I set up the laser level again. I go across the ceiling. Again, 3/4 inch PVC conduit in the code. You got to have a strap within 12 inches of a box or a fitting or an LB, that sort of thing. And then no more than 3 feet apart with your straps. So we go right across the ceiling. And now this was kind of a pain in the neck because there's 2 garage doors. And so I got to keep one closed so I can work above where the garage door would go when it's open until I get to the other side. And then I have to open the one side so I can get out and close the other side. You'll see what I'm talking about in a moment. This was a nice job, and I was here most of the day here. Now keep in mind, the whole week I've had a real bad cold, so it wasn't exactly as productive as I would like to be. And then, of course, while I'm here, I had to stop and look at a couple jobs I'm doing over in Oceanport, and you'll see videos for that coming shortly too. Well, you saw the one where I did the 200 amp panel. That was in Oceanport. This is Seabright. And so now you see that other piece of conduit. I got to get a strap, but I got to get a strap here first so I can lower the other door and raise the door that's closed now. You'll see in a second here that will do that. Alrighty. Now I can get in position and finish my straps before doing another 90 and then coming down the wall. So the charger is going to go exactly where that blue X is on the wall right there. But the homeowner gave me the charger to hook up, and all the parts were there except for the piece that attaches to the wall to hold the charger in place. So I told her I would come back when she has that piece, and we'll complete the install. Now, I don't know how long, if you have a bender like that there, the PVC bender, but this one's from 2014. It's 9 years old. Something happened a few weeks ago with the connection inside the on-off button, so I had to bypass that on-off button. So when I plug it in, it turns on. And when I unplug it, it turns off. The button does nothing anymore because I bypassed it. One of the terminals that just fried, and I figured in the next 6 or 8 months, I'll probably have to get another one of these benders. Anyhow, and they're not cheap. I think when I bought this in 2014, it was about $600 or $700, maybe a little less. I don't totally remember, but I'm sure it's a lot more now, like everything else, right? So what I did was I cut the piece long here, and what I'm going to do now is attach this shorter piece and use a coupling to attach it to the wall, the cinder block wall below. I'm going to have to do like an offset there from the wooden wall up above to the concrete wall below. And you're not going to be able to do that all with the same piece. So that's why I cut this piece short, and then I'll come back and I will bend the other piece that's going to go from the end of this piece to where the box is going to go on that concrete wall. I'm going to get this all secured to the ceiling, and then I'm going to come back with a 2x4 and attach the 2x4 between the bays on the wooden wall up top here, so that I can get a strap right there. And so if you're asking why I'm marking 2 middle sections of this board, it's because I use this board for mounting a panel. And then I decided not to use it. So this 2x4 was on my truck, but it was repurposed for something else, and so it's now just a scrap piece, and I wanted to make it look good, or as good as I could make it. So that explains why I had to cut it twice. So now the first piece is secured. And as you can see, this piece is hot at the moment, so I'm able to bend it right in position where I want it. And then I'll mark both pieces of pipe up on the top there, pieces of conduit on the top up there, cut them, put a coupling in, and then I'll be ready to attach the box to the concrete wall. So if you've never used a PVC bender, there's definitely a learning curve there. It took me a while to get good at it, and of course there's always room for improvement. But now that that piece is glued to the coupling, I'm going to mark my 1900 box where I'm going to drill my holes to secure it to the wall. And I'm thinking next time I probably could use that 3/16 bit and drill right through one of the holes in the 1900 box here. So I don't have to mark it, take it down, drill my holes, and then reattach it. I could just attach it, drill my holes, and then put my Tapcon screws in there to secure it to the wall. Now that the conduit run is in place, I'm ready to pull my conductors through. So I'm using this Milwaukee 100-foot nylon fishing tape. It is fantastic. It's so much better than using the old steel tape, which of course I still have on the truck because I need that sometimes for certain jobs, obviously. So here I'm running two number 6 conductors for my hot conductors. I'm running a number 8 neutral and a number 10 equipment grounding conductors, and this is exactly what the code calls for. We could have run a number 6 neutral. I didn't think it was necessary, and so that's why we had that. And I have a full roll of white number 8, which would be required. Anything smaller than I think number 4, you gotta have the complete full size or the full color for if you're gonna be running a neutral or a ground. And then of course, I don't know if you know this, but up to 60 amps, you can run for your equipment ground a number 10 conductor. So if it's a 30 amp circuit or a 40 amp circuit, a 50 amp circuit such as this, or even up to a 60 amp circuit, you can run number 10 equipment grounding conductor. That's what the code calls for in table 250, TAC 122. So running multiple conductors through PVC conduit or EMT conduit, whatever kind of conduit by yourself is really a big pain in the butt. Definitely a pain in the butt for me. I got to do it by myself. And I'm a professional. I'm doing this for over 30 years. But the wire will get stuck. Sometimes the wire gets kinked. Sometimes, for whatever reason, it just doesn't want to pull through. So you got to go back and forth from the pulling points. This took me probably about an hour to get the conductors through. Actually, an hour to set them up, to run the fish through, and get the wires in place. Once the wires are in place, I come back here and I do my termination. I just had to connect the equipment ground to that metal box there. And now I'm ready to terminate my circuit breaker. So this is a Square D home line meter main combination with 8 circuit breakers. The availability for 8 circuit breakers. And I gotta say, this NEMA enclosure, we're right by the beach in Seabright here. And I ran across another one of these same enclosures at another job in Brick, where I did that boat lift. I think I showed a short video of that about a week ago. And I tell you what, there's no damage to these aluminum conductors here. I'm very, very surprised. So this enclosure, I will definitely be using this thing next time. I'll be doing a service close to the ocean. Very, very reliable enclosure here. NEMA 3. Very nice. All right, so first thing I want to do is I want to terminate my equipment grounding conductor. And being that this is the main breaker right here, this is the main disconnect. My grounds and neutrals go here. But for a GFCI circuit breaker that has a neutral in its circuit, you terminate the neutral conductor to the circuit breaker as well as the 2 hots. But before we energize that breaker, we want to put our NEMA 1450 receptacle in, and that's what I'm doing here. I'm not exactly sure what happened here, but you don't really see me putting the receptacle to the box, but I'm wiring it up here, and obviously it was done correctly. So obviously you can see here, I take this 50 amp 2-pole GFCI breaker out of an enclosure that's sold as an assembly at the Home Depot. And the only reason why I did that is because the Home Depot was closer than the supply house that had this breaker. So, and the enclosure is usually only about 10 bucks. So I overpaid a little bit for it, but I got exactly what I need. And obviously electric vehicle chargers, NEMA 1450, they need to be GFCI protected per the 2020 NEC. And so that's what I'm doing here, is terminating those conductors, and I'll put the panel cover up and we'll go over and we'll test our receptacle, and our installation will be complete. If you haven't already liked this video, please do that. Hit the subscribe button so you don't miss any videos, and of course the notification bell so you're notified when new videos are posted. This is Ron, and I thank you very much for subscribing. To all my subscribers, I think this week we're coming up to 10,000 subscribers, and that's a real milestone for any YouTube creator. And I definitely see myself as a creator and influencer in this industry as an electrician. And if you've learned anything from this video you didn't know before, please leave me a comment down below in the comment section. And liking and subscribing these videos really helps other people find these videos, and it helps the channel grow. So just want to stress how thankful I am for all you who do watch these videos and like them, and to my subscribers. 10,000, that's quite a milestone. Thanks, guys. We'll see you on the next one.